Get this garbage out of my tower. Arthur Pendelton didn't look up from his hands. They were stained with black grease, gripping a tangled bundle of fiber optic cables. He nodded once. Yes, Director Vance. You're tracking dirt on a $50 million floor, Vance sneered. He kicked Arthur's canvas tool bag. It skidded across the pristine linoleum. A heavy silver pocket watch spilled out, hitting the floor with a sharp crack. Clear out now. You're an eyesore. Arthur picked up the watch. His bad left leg dragged as he turned toward the elevator. He didn't defend himself. He didn't know it yet, but Director Vance had just made the biggest mistake of his entire career. Because exactly 30 seconds later, the primary radar array went black, and Vance had just kicked out the only man on Earth who knew how to land Flight 227. I promise you this. By the end of this story, you are going to watch an arrogant man lose everything he holds dear. You are going to watch his entire world collapse in real time. But before we get to that, let me take you back. Arthur Pendelton was 62 years old. He lived on $980 a month in a damp basement apartment in Southside Chicago. Every morning at 4 a.m., he wrapped his bad left knee in an ace bandage. Every morning, he took the Blue Line train to O'Hare International Airport. He wasn't a pilot. He wasn't a controller. He was a Tier 1 cable technician, the lowest rung on the ladder. His job was invisible. Run the wires, fix the server racks. Don't speak unless spoken to. For 7 years, Arthur kept his head down, eating cold sandwiches in the boiler room. He endured the mocking laughter of the young hotshot controllers upstairs. The only thing he truly cared about was the silver pocket watch in his left breast pocket. On the back, an engraving read, "Hold the line." It was given to him 26 years ago by a man whose name Arthur never spoke aloud. At 8:14 p.m. on a Tuesday, a massive whiteout blizzard swallowed Chicago. Director Vance stood in the center of the control tower, 38 years old, wearing a custom Italian suit that cost more than Arthur made in a year. Vance didn't get his job because he knew how to route planes. He got his job because his father was a powerful state senator. Vance didn't understand aerodynamics. He didn't understand weather patterns. He just knew how to read the newly installed $50 million automated Nexus radar system. To Vance, the system was God. Humans were just liabilities. All flights grounded, Vance barked, sipping a macchiato. Except Flight 227. Put them in a holding pattern. Sir, a junior controller said. The young man's voice cracked. 227 is a Boeing 777. They have 14 minutes of fuel left. The storm is dumping 3 inches of snow an hour. A holding pattern will bleed them dry. Vance rolled his eyes, never looking up from his phone. Let the automated system handle it. Do your job. That was when the screens died. The primary radar array froze. The $50 million system had suffered total sensor icing, a known bug. A bug Vance had ignored in 3 separate maintenance reports to save budget for a tower renovation. 3 junior controllers stood up so fast their chairs crashed backward. A coffee mug shattered on the linoleum. Mayday, Mayday, Chicago approach, the radio crackled. The voice was young, terrified. This is Flight 227 First Officer. The captain just collapsed. Massive coronary. I have 0 visibility. My instruments are glitching, and we are dropping. Silence. Complete silence in the tower. 300 people on board. A dead captain. A panicked, inexperienced co-pilot flying blind, and a frozen radar. Vance stopped moving. The color drained from his face. He stared at the blank screens. The $50 million system was dead, and the director of O'Hare had absolutely no idea what to do. Reboot it, Vance yelled. It takes 20 minutes to cycle, the junior controller screamed back. Tell them to hold. Tell them to climb. They don't have the fuel. They'll fall out of the sky in 11 minutes. Vance grabbed the microphone. Flight 227. Pull up to 15,000 feet and wait. We are restarting the system. He was signing their death warrant. Arthur heard it all from the maintenance shaft below the floorboards. He dropped his wrench. The bad knee screamed in agony as he climbed the steep metal ladder to the main floor. He limped into the room. I told you to get out, Vance screamed. He pointed a shaking finger at Arthur. Security, remove this old fool. 2 armed guards stepped forward. Arthur didn't run. He reached into his tool belt, pulled out a heavy flathead screwdriver, and jammed it straight into the electronic lock of the main tower doors. He twisted it. Sparks flew. The heavy doors sealed shut. The guards were locked outside. What are you doing? Vance lunged at him. Arthur grabbed Vance by the lapel of his Italian suit and shoved him backward. Vance stumbled, his expensive leather shoes slipping, and fell hard against a console. Arthur stepped over him. He reached behind the dead Nexus terminal and ripped out the primary fiber optic cable. He pulled a dusty analog headset from his canvas bag. He plugged it directly into the copper emergency radio line, the one nobody had used in 15 years. Flight 227, this is Chicago approach, Arthur said. Who is this? The terrified co-pilot cried. I need the director. We are losing altitude. The director is currently indisposed, Arthur said. His eyes scanned the blank screens. He pulled a yellow legal pad and a pencil from his pocket. First officer, read me your last known heading, altitude, and airspeed. Heading 210, altitude 8,000, airspeed 240 knots. I can't see the runway. I can't see anything. Arthur's pencil flew across the paper. Triangulation equations. Time, speed, distance. Analog math. The kind of math computers replaced decades ago. You're caught in a microburst, Arthur said. In 4 seconds, you're going to experience a massive crosswind from your starboard side. Brace. Vance's chest heaved from the floor. A wet laugh ripped out of his throat. You're insane. You can't know that without the radar. You're going to kill them all. 4, 3, 2, 1. God almighty, the radio crackled with heavy static. Wind shear, we're rolling. Correct it, Arthur commanded. Bank left, 15 degrees now. Banking left. Hold it, hold the line. The co-pilot breathed heavily into the mic. We leveled out. How did you know? Physics, Arthur said. An older controller in the corner, a man who had worked at O'Hare for 30 years, slowly stood up. He stared at Arthur's back. He recognized the tone. He looked at the frantic math on the yellow paper. Wait, the old controller whispered. That heading calculation, that's a blind vector. Vance scrambled to his feet. What? He's not just guessing, the old controller said. He's using analog triangulation, ghost protocol. Nobody has used that since the blizzard of '98. When one man landed 12 planes with no radar, a man who could do the math in his head. Vance looked at the old man in the greasy uniform. He looked at the bad leg. The pieces clicked into place. Pendleton, Vance whispered. Arthur didn't look at him. Shut up, Vance. I'm working. What Vance didn't want anyone to know was that Arthur Pendelton wasn't just a cable guy. In 1998, Arthur was the chief of air traffic control for the entire Midwest region, a living legend, until a private jet crashed due to pilot error. A jet carrying a state senator. The senator needed a scapegoat to cover up his pilot's intoxication. The senator's son, Vance, had fabricated the documents that placed the blame solely on Arthur. They took his career. They took his pension. They broke his leg in a staged accident to keep him quiet. They made him a janitor of wires. But they couldn't take his mind. "Flight 227, Arthur said. "Drop your gear. You are 3 miles out." "I still can't see the runway. The snow is too thick." "You don't need to see it. I see it for you. Descend to 500. 1500. Vance gripped the edge of the console. Sweat ruined the collar of his expensive shirt. If Arthur failed, 300 people died, and Vance went to prison for manslaughter. But if Arthur succeeded, Vance's complete incompetence and past corruption would be exposed to the world. 500 feet, Arthur said. "Sink rate is high," the co-pilot yelled over the roar of the engines. "Hold the line," Arthur said. His thumb ran over the silver pocket watch. "Flare the nose in 3, 2, 1, flare." Silence. Nobody in the tower moved. 10 seconds passed. 15 seconds. Only the hiss of static. Then the unmistakable thunderous sound of reverse thrust roaring through the radio. "Chicago approach," the co-pilot said. He was sobbing into the microphone. "We are wheels down. We are on the ground." The room erupted. People screamed. A junior controller fell to her knees and cried. Arthur slowly took off the headset. He placed it neatly on the console, then picked up his canvas tool bag. Vance tried to stand tall. He desperately pulled at his ruined tie, forcing a fake, trembling smile. "Good work, Pendleton. I'll make sure the incident report reflects my decision to let you assist. We make a good team." Arthur stopped. The look in his eyes wasn't angry. It was just tired. "You really don't get it, do you?" Arthur said. The heavy doors to the tower finally swung open. The guards had broken the lock. But they weren't alone. 3 federal agents wearing FBI jackets walked in behind them. "Director Vance," the lead agent said, holding up a warrant. "We've been listening to the emergency frequency. You ordered a holding pattern for a commercial flight with critically low fuel, and we have records showing you explicitly ignored 14 maintenance requests for the radar heating system." Vance's jaw locked. "I am the director. My father is—" "Your father was indicted 20 minutes ago," the agent interrupted, "for tampering with federal aviation reports in 1998. The records were found in his safe. Turn around. Put your hands behind your back." Vance's smirk didn't just fade, it collapsed. His shoulders gave way. He dropped to his knees right there on the $50 million floor. The custom Italian suit crumpled. He wept, sobbing like a child as the cold steel cuffs clicked around his wrists. Arthur didn't stay to watch him cry. He had wires to fix in the basement. But Arthur didn't stay in the basement for long. 2 days later, the CEO of the airline arrived at Arthur's tiny basement apartment in a fleet of black SUVs. He didn't bring a cheap plastic plaque. He brought a certified check for $2.8 million. Back pay for 26 years of stolen wages, plus interest. Arthur Pendelton was reinstated, not as a controller, as the National Director of Aviation Safety Training. He bought a small house with a garden. He finally rested his bad knee. And every year on the exact anniversary of the blizzard, a young pilot visits his office. The pilot brings 2 cups of black coffee. They don't talk much. They just sit in comfortable silence, watching the planes take off into the clear blue sky. Sometimes, when the world feels dark, it's easy to believe that the people in expensive suits hold all the cards, that the systems and the money run everything. But true power doesn't need a suit. True power knows the math. True power holds the line. Have you ever looked at someone holding a wrench and wondered what they could really do?